Hey guys, it's Hannah here. So this is not really a beauty video. So this is an experience video. MsGoldGirl, Marnie, she's such a sweetheart, did her experience video of hypothyroidism, and I watched hers and I'm like, because I have hypothyroidism, and a lot of the experiences she mentioned, I went through a few of them, but there are also a few different ones. So I thought not everyone goes through the same experience. So I thought I'd do my experiences video because it's definitely a big part of my life and something I haven't told you guys about before. So I just thought I'd get it out there and kind of do an experience video. Excuse my sister in the background playing ukulele that she got for her birthday, even though it's not her birthday for over a month. Just gonna try and do that. She got it today, so she's pretty excited. But hypothyroidism, if you guys have seen Marnie's video, your thyroid is a gland in your throat that looks like a butterfly. It's right here, and mine's always really tender, so it's kind of really hard to point that out because it's always really tender for me because mine is basically dead. So what your thyroid does is it produces hormones to kind of regulate your metabolism and like your emotions as well and stuff. So it's an important gland. All your hormones are important. Every hormone in your body there is a reason for it. So not having something, you don't think this tiny thing in your throat can have such an effect, but like I didn't even know it existed before I got diagnosed, so it's ridiculous. It's definitely not something that's well known, but yes, I have hypothyroidism, and in, what was it, year 9, so that was what, 3 years ago, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's autoimmune disease that caused my hypothyroidism. So what Hashimoto's is, it's an autoimmune disease that basically attacks your, it basically sends antibodies to attack like particular parts of your body. Mine attacked my thyroid, but it is possible if you have Hashimoto's to get another sort of autoimmune disease because your immune system gets really weak. So it is, because I'm so young, they do think it's very possible that I will get another autoimmune disease. So, but we're not talking about that, we're talking about the hypothyroidism. So I have Hashimoto's, and in year 9 is basically when my thyroid ended up dying. So what was going on was, we think it's been going on since I was little. We basically think it started in year 5. So what happened in year 5 was when I started getting very self-conscious because I was always a tiny kid. I was very, very tiny. And then I was one of those people who could eat and do whatever, and then it just was fine. And I think my sister stopped playing music to listen to me talk. Erin? Yeah? Can you stop listening in? What? Never mind. You guys know I'm not editing because my filming's not working, so you're just going to hear that. But, so basically in year 5, I started gaining a lot of weight. Yeah, there we go back to it. So, but this was it's really strange because after starting year 5, my weight definitely fluctuated. I would go through stages where I was very, very I'd feel very overweight. And then there were stages where I'd lose it all and it would just be, I'd be a stick. And then everyone's just like, what are you doing, Hannah? Because my weight was just changing, and that made me very self-conscious, which led to depression, which I was diagnosed with in year 7. So that is 5 years ago. So 2008, yes, 2008 I was diagnosed with depression, which is one of the symptoms for Hashimoto's, but we didn't know that at that point in time. We just thought I was depressed. So basically that continued on all through the start of high school. Through year 8, I had these fluctuating weight, I had depression, anxiety, all this stuff going on, and basically I was a loner because everyone's like, what is wrong with you, Hannah? You're so strange. It's just, yeah, basically I was an outcast because at such a young age when all this is going on, it is really difficult. But in year 9 was when it got really bad. End of year 8, I was just lethargic. 2009, I was lethargic. I was in bed as I never wanted to get up. I didn't want to go to school. I was just exhausted. And that was a really big thing. Like, not going to school wasn't a problem, but I didn't even want to do schoolwork. I am a smart person. I do really well in school. Not bragging, but I do well in school. So for my parents to, like, me not wanting to do schoolwork was just, it was strange. Like, and they just chalked it up to all this depression and bullying and all this stuff that happened from my weight, just like fluctuating. So it was definitely a scary thing. So I was just, and then even through the holidays, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to hang out with my friends. I didn't want to do anything. And we got to year 9. So year 9 was a pretty scary year because, it's 2010. 2010? Yes, 2010. It was really scary. Yeah, I think it started in January. I had these blackouts. I would just pass out for no apparent reason. And at first we thought it was just a once-off thing. It was in the summer, it was hot. They thought I was dehydrated, I hadn't eaten. So they just chalked it up to being a mix of everything, and I just needed to drink water, eat food, and stay out of the heat. But then it just kept happening, and every 2 weeks or so I just pass out, and it was really scary. So I was at that time, I think I was 14. Yeah, I was 14 and I'm passing out. It was a really scary experience. Like, no matter what age, you just passing out is not something that's good. So we got into the doctor and basically sent me through a variety of things to try and figure out what on earth is going on. I had blood tests, I had MRIs, I had CT scans, I had brain, all the things going on in my brain. I had ultrasounds and all this stuff, trying to figure out what is going on. Turned out I was anemic, which was the thing that kind of led to the fainting. But through that fainting, we found out that I had Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. My antibody count is way through the roof. I'm in like the thousands, which is not a good thing for anybody. You're meant to have like 300 and I'm in like the 3000s. So my thyroid was dead. At this point, it still wasn't dead. It was still fluctuating. So the doctor put me on iron tablets to stop the anemia, which stopped the fainting spells. But Hashimoto's, it kind of makes it a problem, like absorbing all your nutrients. So get to that in a bit. But so we went to the doctor and we knew it wasn't right. And I'm going to say exactly what Marnie said. Marnie said, if you don't feel right, you need to go and get checked out. I had never had a blood test before then. And basically because they didn't think anyone my age would be able to have Hashimoto's. So I was one of the youngest people in Sydney to have Hashimoto's that any of my doctors had been in contact with, and they were like specifically for young people. So it's not, so yeah, I am one of the youngest people that my doctors know of who has had Hashimoto's. So you think once you get to your about 20s and late 20s, early 30s, that's usually when it starts to come around. But I was only 14, so this was very, very strange for them. So yeah, so they sent me to an endocrinologist who did tests, and the drive was just ridiculous to get there. So I basically missed a whole lot of school in year 9. So we did blood tests every few weeks, and my thyroid was just, so there are 2 hormones that your thyroid produces, T3 and T4. So basically my levels for both of these were fluctuating. Like, it would just go crazy. But when they test your thyroid, they also test for a hormone that's produced by pituitary gland, which is right at the back of your neck, which is HPT. HTP something. It's the one that tells your thyroid to produce the hormone. And they thought that that wasn't working right, so they sent me for all these tests and all this stuff. So this was before I got diagnosed. This was all that happened before I even got diagnosed. So my thyroid was fluctuating, so they didn't know whether it was hypo or hyperthyroidism. But after about, I think it was 3 months, my thyroid died. My levels my thyroid did not produce any thyroxine. So that is when they put me on thyroxine, which is the just what they give to me. It's just a tablet, take it in the morning. It's all good. But while they were doing that, they were testing for Graves' disease, which is another thing that causes your thyroid to kind of mess up. It's about how, what produces your hormones. So if they think your thyroid's up, also get them to check for Graves' disease if you can, because it's another thing that can definitely affect your thyroid, but it's usually for hyperthyroidism. But because I was fluctuating, they didn't know if I had hyper or hypo. So usually if you have hypo, you have Hashimoto's. If you have hyper, you have Graves' disease. So that's basically it. But there's an actual test for Graves' disease, not Hashimoto's. But that's what they diagnosed me with. So then they put me on thyroxine, and basically they had to get the levels right. I think it took about 4 months for me to finally get my levels right. By this time, it was halfway through 2010. So it's been 2.5 years since my levels had since I've been on this medication. And I still have to go for blood tests every 3 months to make sure that my levels are normal. And so that's basically how I'm keeping up with it. Blood tests, taking my tablets, it's what you do. If I feel really, really dodgy, you go and get another blood test. That's what you do. Marnie said the same thing. If you feel like something's wrong, go see a doctor. It's just definitely something that you should be doing. So I do that. Everything's basically been alright. It's just kind of settling down. There are times when I know I've missed a thyroid tablet because I would just feel terrible that day. So I take my tablet every morning, and if I don't take it, I just feel terrible. I don't want to get out of bed, and I know I've missed it. It's just ridiculous. So that is basically my experience. It's definitely a battle all the time. I'm still dealing with the depression that comes with the hypothyroidism, so that's still something that's definitely something I'm dealing with. And it's just, there are definitely times when you can tell you're having a good or bad day. It's something you live with forever, and you're just gonna have to you have to learn how your body reacts to everything and stuff. So yeah, so there are a few things I wanted to talk about in this video after my experience a bit. Basically, first thing, talk to your doctor. You know what your body's doing. You know your body better than anyone. So if you don't feel right, go to a doctor, get a blood test, get your blood tested every year. Get a blood test every year no matter what, because it is really important. If something comes up, you may not even know something's wrong, but if it goes unnoticed, things can get really bad. So a blood test every year is also something. What else can I say? There was a diet they put me on for a while. If you're not responding well to the medications, gluten and dairy can kind of upset your thyroid. So that's another thing. You have to eat really well to kind of keep that. There are days when I binge, and I'm just usually when I'm having a bad day, I'll eat really bad, and it just makes me feel worse. So it's not something to do is binge, but the dairy and no gluten diet was not very easy for me to stick to, so I have stopped that, but it did help a lot, but it's just not for me at this point in time. But if it's something you think would help, go see a naturopath or a nutritionist. They have a lot of information on that. I'm not a doctor, don't quote that. I don't if you feel wrong, see a doctor. That's what I'm going to say. Also, exercise, as Marnie said, is really important. Still not something I'm always up to doing because I'm a 17-year-old girl doing her final year of school. It's pretty difficult to find time to do stuff, but yeah, so not something I keep up with often. So yeah, that's basically my hypothyroidism story. If you have any questions, leave them in the down bar. If you think something's not right, definitely go see a doctor. And yeah, that's basically all I can say, because it's not something that's known about, and most people go undiagnosed for a really long time. They think I went undiagnosed for 4 years. 4 years, so it's definitely something to get checked. It's just, once you get diagnosed and they try and figure out what works for you, as Marnie said, things don't always work for the same people. Once they figured out what works for you, you will feel better. I've seen it, I felt it. It's definitely something to go and see people and talk to people about. So I think that's all I have to say. But yeah, if you guys have, as I said, I'm dealing with this every day. If there are things that you have, if you have hypothyroidism and you're dealing with stuff and you've found things that work, please leave them in the comments. I am happy to take on any information that can be helpful. Yeah, I know this wasn't a beauty video, so I'm sorry for all of you beauty video lovers who I didn't do this video, who didn't kind of need to see this video, but it's definitely something I wanted to put out there. So yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys in my next video, and yeah, bye guys.